Good evening. I'm going to call to order the Planning Commission meeting for Monday, January 25th, our first meeting of 2021. At this time, I will ask, Sean Nichols, if you will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Everyone please stand, face the flag. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
At this time, I would like to do, Madam Secretary, a roll call for this evening.
Please let the record show that all planning commissioners are present, as well as Deputy City Attorney Jennifer Farrell on teleconference.
Thank you. And if we can review our meeting minutes from December 14th.
I move approval of the minutes.
Second.
Okay, if we can vote, please.
Why is it not going on?
All right, please show that those were unanimously approved this evening. Do we have any requests for public comments this evening for anything that's not on our agenda?
No, Chair Opal.
Great, thank you. We have no items on our consent calendar this evening, so we will move to public hearing, which is a time extension for site development permit SDP 17-0013 and minor conditional use permit CUP 17-005M for a new 57-room hotel, 4,000 square foot restaurant space with outdoor dining, 52-bed hostel, visitor center, retaining walls greater than 30 inches in height visible from the public right-of-way, and tandem parking for employee valet. The Wave Resort Headlands commercial site located at 34075 Pacific Coast Highway within the coastal zone. And do we have a staff report this evening?
Yes, Senior Planner Sean Nicholas will provide the staff report.
Yes, good evening, Planning Commissioners. Sean Nicholas, Project Planner. This is the time extension request associated with the Wave Resort project. Located there at the corner of Pacific Coast Highway and Green Lantern. Some background, though I believe everyone on the commission is fairly familiar with the project. Originally approved by City Council on October 3rd. Originally approved actually by this body in July of 2017. Ultimately, after City Council approval, it was appealed to the California Coastal Commission, and on August 1st of 2018, the Coastal Commission did approve the project. On December 9th of last year, the Coastal Commission also approved a time extension for the proposed project. Coastal Commission, because of those actions, has retained control now or jurisdiction over the coastal development permit, but the applicable site development permit and minor conditional use permit that is before you this evening for a time extension is still within the city's jurisdiction. Still, the proposed project still meets all applicable requirements and is still within the HDCP and applicable Dana Point zoning code requirements. Here again, we have the Wave Resort perspective that I'm sure Commission is very familiar with. You can see there on the upper portion is the main floor level, which is the 57-room hotel, and the fourth outdoor eating area for the 4,000 square foot restaurant space. On the far left, you can see the Wave Resort at the Strand, where the sign is. That is the building that is the 52-bed hostel. And then in the courtyard area that is accessed primarily off of Pacific Coast Highway is the courtyard, and that is where the required visitor center will be located open to the public. For the time extension, this is the second one-year time extension. It did receive one by staff in October of 2019, but this one, because it is the second request, requires approval by Planning Commission. City staff had waited while we did receive the request prior to the approval's expiration. We waited until the coastal development permit was approved prior to bringing the rest of the entitlements to Planning Commission. There are two findings for you this evening for the time extension. and that's whether or not no new requirements or development standards since the project was approved have come into effect that may impact or change something, and also the fact that whether or not site conditions have changed, which would alter the project. In both of those cases, nothing has changed, nor have any regulations changed, so staff is supportive of those findings. It is important to note that the applicant has been moving forward with the project continuously since its approval. It is in final stages of grading and shoring submittals to be able to start work in digging out the two-story subterranean parking garage. The project has been primarily held up with the special conditions and the Coastal Commission review. For example, I can tell you that the applicant had submitted items, I believe, in January, February of 2020, and we just received some feedback last week. So that is what, unfortunately, the applicant has been dealing with, and we've been trying to work with them and get as much done as we can here locally. So with that, staff does recommend that the Planning Commission approve the draft resolution approving the time extension for 1 year for the site development permit and the minor conditional use permit. And staff is available to address any of the commissioners' questions.
All right, thank you for that report, Sean. Do any commissioners have questions? Ray?
Anyways, Sean, how long has the Coastal Commission extended the approval?
For 1 year.
Same as they're asking?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
In looking back, it's been, as we know, it's been a year, and has anything else occurred on the property? Because I know, we all go by it constantly. I mean, has there been any more grading for any reason, or more changing anything that other than what's right there on the corner?
No, the applicant has maintained appropriate fencing and screening around the site, and also taking care of any weeds that have occurred, and they've kept the site in good maintenance order right there at the corner. So we have not had any issues, and again, there's been no site changes.
Okay, thank you.
Vice Chair Nelson?
Thank you. Flashing green. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
So question for you. I'm curious. So if we were not to provide or approve this extension, the project has a CDP, but they don't have the site development permit that they would need in order to develop. What would they be then placed with?
If the time extension was denied tonight by Planning Commission, the applicant could appeal that decision to City Council, and that would be their first avenue. And then ultimately, if the whole time extension were to be rejected, then they would have to go back through the site development permit and conditional use permit portion of their application again.
So it'd be back here with the same project that
Yes.
we would, in theory, be extending tonight.
Yes, sir.
Got it. Thank you.
Can we give an extension longer than a year?
Pursuant to the code, it is limited to 1 year.
Okay.
So Sean, I do have one question. So provided that they start their grading within the next year period, provided we give them this extension, then they have are fully vested with all of their approvals. Is that correct?
Yes, once they have initiated work associated, meaning they've pulled their permits and begun work, their permit then is enacted, and that's correct. As long as they keep moving, they will not have any issues regarding
Right, as long as there's
expiration.
no stagnant work, which would
Exactly.
consider their permit void.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, great. Any other?
So that actually starts the time.
So once they get their if this is approved,
Yeah.
hopefully we're anticipating, knock on wood, with hopefully next month the CDP to be issued, and then they would finish up and finalize their grading and shoring permits and submit all of those final components. And then once they pull those permits and start working out there, then the permits will be considered acted upon or activated. And so then they've just continued to move on, and we'll just continue through the construction process, similar to what we've done with, for example, the Vista Del Mar, the old Union Bank project. Staff issued them one time extension, and then once they've pulled and issued and started work, they activated, and there's been no issues since.
Thank you.
All right, so I will open this up for public hearing. Do we have any requests to speak?
No, we do not.
We did receive one public comment, so we will file that with our record for public comments, correct? All right, so I will close the public hearing and then open it up for commissioner discussion. Commissioner McCann?
Given COVID and given the complexity of this project and dealing with the Coastal Commission, I'm extremely sympathetic to the developer applicant. And I've been to the site. I find the findings appropriate. The project is still a great project. We wish it was sooner and faster. So I would be happy to make a motion to extend and grant the time extension.
Yeah, I would echo everything you said, and I would be happy to second that. I think it's unfortunate that a project like this that's so well designed, that fits in with our with the Headlands Development Conservation Plans, part of a DA, has gone through, been drugged through the mud so much. So I'm glad that the applicant's still moving forward, and they've got my support 100%.
I drive by it every day. I think it's a fantastic project. I'm disappointed it's been 4 years since we approved it the first time, and I'm got my fingers crossed that, that it'll get rolling right away. So thank you for hanging in.
Yes, that is a good project, and it's in a wonderful spot there, right on Coast Highway. And yeah, not much you can do at this point. We have other factors coming at us, but good job and keep it up. Love it. Yeah.
And I echo the same sentiments as my fellow commissioners. And so with that, I open it up for a motion.
Chairwoman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve time extension for site development permit SDP 17-0013 and minor conditional use permit CUP 17-0005M for a new 57-room hotel, 4,000 square foot restaurant space with outdoor dining, 52-bed hostel, visitor center, retaining walls greater than 30 inches in height, visible from the public right-of-way, and tandem parking for employees, valet, Wave Resort Headlands commercial site located at 34075 Pacific Coast Highway within the coastal zone.
I would second that.
Right, if we could vote, please. And that passes unanimously, so good luck in your permitting approvals. Okay, and then item 3 that we had on the agenda tonight, that's been requested to continue that to our public hearing, to our hearing on February 8th, correct? Okay. So with that, for old business, we have an update on the short-term rental subcommittee.
I'll start off. So the subcommittee has been busy lately. We kicked off the outreach plan, which included a press release. You might have seen an article in the Dana Point Times. And also last week, they were very busy in conducting 4 different stakeholder meetings. The groups were comprised of our interested parties list. We broke those down into groups that included existing short-term rental permit holders, neighbors or residents of short-term rentals, management companies, and then community groups. They were well attended, good conversations. The size of the groups ranged anywhere between 4 people up to over 10 people. So we got some good input, and the focus of the discussions were, what can we do to try to improve our regulations and enforcement mechanisms that we have for our short-term rentals? So what we'll be doing is summarizing the recommendations that we received from the stakeholders and bringing them back to the Planning Commission formally at your February 22nd meeting. So at that point, we're going to be having a Zoom or Teams public workshop to allow the public to participate in the Planning Commission to review those regulations on what we anticipate presenting to the City Council ultimately. So also, let's see, what else do I have to add to that? I think that's about it.
So I'd just add to that, I'd encourage each one of you to go on to the city's YouTube page, because all the meetings were recorded, and there's some really interesting dialogue that occurred between all the different groups. We had some really good feedback from all the stakeholder groups, and it's all information I think will be relevant for the discussion that we're going to have. And I know the staff will do a good job summarizing everything, but if you have time, I think each meeting was an hour and a half at best. And we held to the hour and a half time limit. And there was a lot of feedback that was really heartfelt from the community, whether it was a stakeholder, neighbor, or an operator. And look forward to sort of how this rolls out. But staff did a great job of setting up those meetings and getting groups of people together to have some really good dialogue. And I encourage you all to take a look at it.
I'll add to that, if you don't have time to watch the YouTube videos, Allison did a great job of summarizing the comments. So that way you can just read the 2 or 3 pages per meeting that Allison developed. So a very fast way. And also the website we have beefed up considerably. We've added some of the flyers we discussed previously. And the front page goes over kind of our current efforts on trying to engage the community into this process. So thank you.
Would it be possible for you to email us that link?
Of course, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would add, the process was broken down into 2 phases. The first phase is looking at the nuisance factors to try to beef up the 5.38 so that the operations would be less of a burden for the neighbors. And in the discussions, people were anxious to jump to phase 2. So there was a lot of dialogue on phase 1 of the trash, noise, and parking. But a lot of people wanted to talk about zoning and where we have them and how you qualify and whether they should be or shouldn't be, which is really phase 2. So the way I understand it is phase 1 is going through the regs, trying to improve them and beef them up so that the enforcement can be seamless for the city and for the operators. And then phase 2 would be identifying what qualifications for issuing permits and operation issues within the city itself. So trying to keep people in phase 1 during phase 1 has been a challenge.
Thank you all for that update. For new business, we have no new business. Any staff reports this evening?
I have none, thank you.
Okay, any commissioner comments?
I'd like to thank the members of the short-term rental subcommittee for their effort in doing that. I mean, it's a substantial time commitment, but it's for the betterment of the city, so I appreciate the volunteers who volunteered. And also, it's with sadness that next meeting will be my last meeting. I'm moving to San Clemente, so I won't be eligible to be on this commission unless they change the rules. I'd be happy to continue, but so I just wanted to make that announcement.
Anyone else?
We'll miss you, but we'll take time to celebrate you, hopefully at the next meeting, and honor you for the time and work you've done here as a valued member of this commission. Other than that, I have no other comments.
Thanks. Anybody else?
Yeah, I'd just like to say how much I appreciate when I first got on the commission as a newbie, Scott was kind enough to give me some guidance and hints, which I very much appreciated. Thank you.
I'll save my words for your last meeting. All right, so with that, I will adjourn the meeting until February 8th.